Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Nat. Thank you all so much for joining me for another installment in my indie brand journey. Today I'm super excited to be trying out another new to me indie brand. It's Dieverune Cosmetics. This is the Magnetic MINERALIA palette, and it's amazing collab with Andromeda. They're so creative and super talented over on Instagram, and this palette is actually part of a collection that has a highlighter, a wet liner puck, a quad with satins, and even a super sparkly single shadow. But you guys know me, I usually just pick up the eyeshadow palette when I'm trying out a new to me brand. On their website, the bundle actually retails for $188 Canadian, but it's currently on sale on this day that I'm filming. It's on sale for $170 Canadian. The palette alone retails for $94 Canadian on their website, but I purchased mine from ifeelbeautiful.ca, and there it retails for $93 Canadian. Let's just read the description off their website. The best neutral grungy palette this side of the Andromeda galaxy. 9 pigmented buttery mattes, 4 shifty chromes, and 2 reflective metallics. This 15-pan palette was designed and created by the lovely Andromeda to be their perfect neutral palette, and it hit the mark. From smoky purples to olive beiges, from deep grays to acid greens, this is sure to be what you reach for when looking for a grungy look. There are multiple formulas of shimmers. Some are smooth and finely milled, others are more opaque and impactful, and even one of our best-selling Phantom Shifter shades. Since I'm new to this brand, of course, I'm unfamiliar with all of those finishes, but I'm excited to discover them. Okay, carrying on, from Andromeda, quote, "This palette was inspired by a wide variety of minerals, both rough rocks and refined gemstones. It's my personal perfect assortment of neutrals. The art was done by my longtime friend and tattoo artist at Zane Decker Tattoos on IG. The amethyst on the cover represents my spouse's birthstone. The snake represents serpentine, a stone I've been obsessed with for a long time. Originally, the shades were all named after various minerals, but it felt most right to me to leave them without names. The packaging is magnetic, and the pans are labeled on the bottom so you know which slot they fit into." End quote. Some of the shimmers apply best with fingers, however, a dense brush, an old school foam applicator, or silicone tipped applicator works wonders on all of your shimmers. It's vegan, it's cruelty free, and how cool that a tattoo artist designed this cover art. Love the color scheme. I just think this is a pretty cool palette. And this is what the palette looks like. Now let's dive into some swatches. I guess because there's no names for this palette, I'm just going to go horizontally across and down, and I'll just call them out in numbers. Here's the first shade. And I have to say, these mattes really are so buttery, so velvety to the touch, so soft. Next shade. I decided to maybe not call them out in numbers because some palettes out there are actually numbered and this one isn't, and everyone's different as to how they like to attack a palette, so I just don't want to cause any confusion. Here's the next shade, our first shimmer. Ooh, that's so pretty. I think this one's more like a topper. And the next shade, another super buttery matte. And here are my fingertips. And the next 4 shades. Ooh, how cool. Look at this shimmer. And another shimmer. Interesting. Look at this shift to that one. Back to a couple of mattes. Such interesting, oh, that shade goes kind of with my top. And here are my fingertips. Another 4 shades. Oh, wow. Look at that. How cool. Back to mattes. Another matte, and another shimmer. Here are my fingertips. And here are the last 3 shades. What an interesting gray. And a black matte or deep dark charcoal. It looks black in the pan, but it swatches kind of on the charcoal side. And the last shade, oh, look at this. Wow. Here are my fingertips. When I was originally looking at this palette, trying to come up with what looks I wanted to do, I actually couldn't make up my mind because I feel like there are so many cool combos that you could come up with. Then I realized that I was curious to see if each row could create a look, which I'm sure it can, but I'm not sure if I've ever done that with a palette before, just going across in a row to see what kind of look it creates. So that's what I've decided to do with this palette. Let's start off with look number 1. I'm going to go in with this shade and a Shoto 04. Let's start off in the outer corner crease area. This shade is like a muted purple or like a dusty purple. A purple with a gray undertone to it. So we're just doing windshield wiper motions to create a background. That blended out pretty quickly, don't you think? Next, let's go in with this shade and a slightly dirty Shoto 00. Let's pat down some pigment first. Ooh, what a cool purple. Look how pigmented these mattes are. Just gonna pull it across my lash line. I got this palette a while ago, and I'm so happy to finally be testing it out. That's such a beautiful, deep, cool toned purple. Let's blend it up into the crease area. Now let's dip into this lavender shade and an EO7 from Singe Beauty. Let's just put this in the inner third area. And I'm just using patting motions to try and keep the intensity of this lavender shade. This shade is actually deeper, a tiny bit deeper than I thought it would be. Just judging from what it looks like in the pan. I'm just taking a Rephr 01 with nothing on it to see if we can soften out this edge. Back to the Shoto 04 with nothing on it, just to soften out the top edge, all the edges. Let's lay down a shimmer. I'm going to go in with this shade first, and using just my finger, let's pop this in the outer third. Cool. Let's put this shimmer in the inner third. Again, just using my finger. Oh, wow. Look at this one. You guys see the shift? Just going back in with that lavender shade and the EO7 from Singe Beauty. And back to the deepest purple matte with the Shoto 00, just to put some down at the edge where the matte and the shimmer meets. Now that this side of my face is done, let's finish up this eye look. I'm going to go back in with the deepest purple matte and an E26 from ColourPop. Let's start at the outer corner of the lower lash line. So pigmented. And pull it across. I've just switched to the EO7 with that lavender shade. And now let's take the Shoto 04 with this shade, just a tiny bit, just so we can blend out the edge, soften it. I just dipped into some more because I want to see if I can soften this top edge as well. Now I'm just using a bit of finishing powder just to do a little bit of an underbrow highlight. I just did eyeliner and mascara off camera, and here's the final look for look number 1. I do love a good cool tone purple. Alright, moving on to look number 2. Let's start off with this shade and a Shoto 03. Starting at the outer corner, like usual. We're just doing a background shade. I actually don't know, can you guys see this shade? Because of the brush that I'm using, it's laying it down very diffused. But that's kind of what I want, just a diffuse wash of color in the background for this outer portion anyway. Now let's dip into this shade and a Rephr 01. Let's pat down some pigment at the outer corner. Ooh, how interesting. It's so bright. But not too bright, you know what I mean? Let's pull this across the lash line a bit. And I'm really just packing this shade on using stamping motions. How fun. Okay, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I was thinking of using this shade to deepen things up. And let's go in with an EO1 from Singe Beauty. Let's just start at the outer corner. Same thing, I'm really just pushing this into the skin. I don't think I normally would have paired these shades together myself, but like I said, I was trying to see if you could create a look going straight across in the row. Let's try this. Let's go back in with the Refer 01 and some more of that green shade. Just to bring some of that tone back after attempting to deepen up the outer corner. Now let's go back to this shade and a Refer 21. Let's just stick this in the inner third area. Pull it into that empty space in the center. I like that. I really like this shade. Are any of you guys into rocks or minerals? I've been to Sedona many times actually, and I'm not like an expert in rocks or anything, but I am quite familiar with them. Let's lay down some shimmer and see if there are any adjustments we need to make. I'm going to start off with this shade and just my finger. Let's pop this in the outer third. That's kind of interesting. That's a cool look. Let's feather it up at the edges. Just make it scattered a bit. And now let's dip into this one. Same thing, just my finger. And we're going to put this one in the inner third area. Oh, wow. Look at that. Now I'm just going back in with that lightest green shade and a Refer 21 just to add some more of this pigment back. And I'm going back in with that grayish shade just to put that at the edge where the shimmer starts. I just did the rest of my face off camera, so let's finish up this eye look. I'm going to go in with this shade and an EO1 from Singe Beauty. And let's start at the outer corner of the lower lash line. Just stamping in some pigment. Switching to the lightest green shade and a Refer 21. We're just going to put this at the inner third. And now let's take the Shoto 03 with this shade just to soften out the edges of this eye look. I just did eyeliner and mascara off camera, and here are the final looks for look number 1. And 2. Let me come in close. And different lighting. Okay, so I've decided we're just going to do 3 looks today. But as always, if you want to see more looks with this palette, just leave me a comment and I'll get it done. For look number 3, I was thinking of doing halo eyes. And let's start off with this shade and a Shoto 03. Starting at the outer corner, let's just lay down a crease shade. What an interesting tone. And we're just using big windshield wiper motions just to lay down a background shade. Same thing over here. Moving on, I'm going to go in with this shade and an EO4 from Singe Beauty. Let's start at the outer corner again. Let's lay down some pigment. Just using some patting motions. And blending it up into the crease area. Let's take this across my lash line. Now let's lay down some pigment in the inner third. And I'm just slowly building up the shape. Same thing on this side. Blending it up into the crease area. Across the lash line. And building up the inner third. And I'm still using the EO4 from Singe Beauty. Now let's deepen things up with this shade and an EO5 from Singe Beauty. Starting at the outer corner again. And working it up into the crease area. Okay, let's try this brush in the inner third area, but if it's too big, I might have to switch my brush out. I've just switched to a Shoto 01 with nothing on it. I just want to see if this does a better blend. And I think it does. Going back to the EO5, just to push in some pigment, push in some more of that dark gray, almost black. And then back to the Shoto 01 to smooth out the edge. Let's move on to this side. Same thing, starting at the outer corner. Let's push in some pigment. And bring it up into the crease area. Inner third. Switching to the Shoto 01. Back to the EO5. When we're doing detail work, that's sometimes what we need to do. Go back and forth between several brushes. Make minor adjustments. Back again with the Shoto 01, soften out the edge. For the spotlight effect, I was thinking of using this shade in the center and then this shade on the sides of the spotlight shade, blending into the mattes. So let's start off with this shade and just my finger. And let's just put that in the center, keeping the intensity of the shimmer closer to the lash line. And as it goes up, let's feather it a bit. Same thing on this side. And now let's take the silicone brush from Amazon and this shade, and let's just put that at the edge. Oh, wow. These are shiny. And the same thing at the outside edge. Now I'm wondering if I should have reversed the shimmer shades. Next time. Okay, let's do the same thing over here. And the outside edge. And now I'm just going back in with the darkest matte shade and the EO5. And I'm kind of going over the edge where the shimmer starts, because I kind of want to tone down the shape of it. I feel like the spotlight effect is just a little bit too wide. Same thing on this side. On the inner third of the eye. Let's take a Shoto 00 with this shade, just to see if we can soften this edge out a little bit. That looks better, right? And why not? Let's see if we can do it in this area. We have a bit of fallout, but that's okay. It's to be expected with deep shades and shimmer shades. Not a problem at all. We'll just clean it up later. Okay, let's work on this side. Same thing, deepening up the matte and kind of narrowing the spotlight shade. Same thing on this side of the shimmer. I think I'm just a little thrown off because lately I've been enjoying doing halo eyes on an angle. I guess I've discovered that I feel like that maybe suits my eye shape a little bit better. But what do you guys think? Do you guys have a preference with traditional halo eyes or halo eyes on an angle? Okay, going back in with this shade and Shoto 00. Same thing, just seeing if we can blend out the edge over here. I just did the rest of my face off camera, so now we can finish up this eye look. Let's go back in with the dark shade and an E25 from ColourPop. Let's start at the outer corner of the lower lash line and stamp in some pigment. Same thing on this side. And I've just switched to the EO4 with that mid-tone gray shade. Same thing on this side. And now let's take the Shoto 00 with the lightest gray shade and soften the edges. Same thing over here. I just did liquid eyeliner and I put some lashes on. And I actually have a new lipstick to share with you guys. This is Unearthly Cosmetics collab with Courtney Quarantine. And she has 3 shades in the Menacing Creams formula. They retail for $26 and I got mine from ifeelbeautiful.ca. You can also purchase the 3 shades in a bundle for $70. But I have mine in the shade Secrets and it's described as a cool nude. So this is what it looks like. I actually got this together with the Dieverune palette and I've had it for so long, so I'm super excited to finally try this out. Oh, wow. That is a very comfortable matte. I really like this tone. What do you guys think? And there we have it. This is the final look for look number 3. Let me come in close. In different lighting. So as I've said before, this is my first go with Dieverune Cosmetics. I think this is a beautiful palette with an amazing color story. Andromeda did a wonderful job. I found the eyeshadows super pigmented and easy to blend out, easy to work with. The shimmers are stunning, and I actually can't wait to see what other looks I can come up with using this palette. As always, let me know if you guys have a favorite. And now we come to the end of this video. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I appreciate you all so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you in the next one.
Oh, ha, ha.